In this video, I'm going to go over the overview of protein synthesis and try to answer this question of what are proteins and how are they made. And so first, what is a protein? Proteins are a type of large molecule that are essential for living things. They have a variety of functions necessary for the structure of living things and the processes that living things perform. The building blocks of proteins are called amino acids, and there are 20 different amino acids that arrange and fold into unique three-dimensional shapes. And so you'll see in this diagram here, these are the amino acids. They all have these names: methionine, threonine, valine, alanine, asparagine. And there's 20 different types, and they use 20 different colors to represent them in this diagram. And what you can do is you can string those amino acids together in a very specific order, and those amino acids will fold to create a unique three-dimensional shape, which gives you a protein. And what's important to know about proteins is that their shape is directly tied to their function. And so you can think of these proteins as really like molecular machines. They have very specific jobs, and the shape that they have determines how they perform their job. And so this is actually a little animation of hemoglobin, which is a protein in your red blood cells. And its job is to take this little molecule in blue here, that's oxygen. Hemoglobin's single job is to bind with oxygen so that that protein can carry the oxygen in your blood to other parts of your body. And so what else do proteins do? Well, humans produce tens of thousands of different proteins, all with different functions. In fact, if you took the dry mass of a person, meaning if you took all the water out of a person, the remaining 40% of that mass is made up of protein. And so some common functions that proteins have is they provide structure, they perform chemical reactions, they help cells communicate, and they also are involved in cellular transport, or the movement of molecules into and out of cells. So just a few examples. Insulin, this is a hormone protein involved in communication that controls the amount of sugar that's found in your blood. This is an antibody. Antibodies are proteins that are used to help your immune system fight off infections. Hemoglobin, we talked about, carries oxygen. ATP synthase is a large protein that is involved in the production or synthesis of ATP. Something like Rubisco is an important protein found in plants that helps perform photosynthesis. Alcohol dehydrogenase, this is found in our livers, and it helps break down ethanol, which is a byproduct of some chemical reactions. So what provides the directions on how to build these proteins? So how do you make these things? So directions for how to build all of the proteins in your body is stored in your DNA. And a section of DNA that provides the code on how to build a specific protein is known as a gene. And so we have about 20,000 different genes on our 23 pairs of chromosomes. And genes are typically thousands of base pairs long, meaning thousands of letters of A's, T's, C's, and G's. And so if you were to look at a cell, in the nucleus, that's where all of our DNA is stored. All of our DNA together, collectively, is known as our genome. And our genome is made up of 23 pairs, so 23 times 2 chromosomes, which gives us 46. And we have pairs because we have one set of chromosomes from our mother and one set of chromosomes from our father. And a chromosome is simply just a bunch of coiled up, wrapped up DNA. And along that chromosome, we have genes. And so each of these little sections that are in blue here represent genes. And so, for example, chromosome number 1 has over 3,000 genes on it. And so how does this process of protein synthesis work? Well, it requires two molecules. It requires DNA and RNA. DNA, we have learned already, is double-stranded. You only find it in the nucleus, and it has the letters A, T, C, and G. RNA is slightly different from DNA, and the big difference is that RNA is single-stranded. It's in the nucleus, and it's also in the cytoplasm. And instead of A, T, C, and G, it has A, U, C, and G. And so what will happen in protein synthesis is two major steps. Right? There's two major steps in protein synthesis. Transcription, where you take a gene in DNA and you rewrite it into a new molecule called mRNA. Right? So that is in this diagram going from DNA to a molecule of RNA that is called transcription. The next step, which we'll learn about in detail later, is translation. That's where you take the mRNA, it's going to leave the nucleus, and its code is going to be used to build a protein, one building block or one amino acid at a time. So you would take this RNA, and through the process of translation, you make a protein. So here's those steps in order. You have your DNA. Through the process of transcription, you create RNA. And with RNA, you can then translate it into a protein. So that is protein synthesis and the functions of proteins in a nutshell. Thanks for watching.